Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old coffee jar, and discovering a single penny worth more than the house you live in. Sounds impossible, right? But what if I told you that a 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, the same kind you've probably handled thousands of times without thinking, has recently reached a staggering market value of up to $967,000, and in rare cases even crossed into the millions. Yes, millions. A coin that cost a single cent to produce is now changing lives, rewriting financial futures, and proving that hidden wealth often sits in the most ordinary places. And if you think you don't have a penny like this tucked away somewhere, stay with me. There's a good chance you might be wrong. This story begins in one of the most unpredictable eras of American coin minting. The year was 1967, a time when the U.S. Mint was scrambling to deal with a national coin shortage. To speed up production, the Mint removed mint marks entirely. No D, no S, no P. Just a clean, bare date, 1967. Millions were made, and most went straight into circulation. Nobody cared. Nobody thought twice. And nobody imagined that a fraction of these pennies carried microscopic details, minting flaws, and rare variations that would one day turn into wealth-generating treasures. But that's exactly what happened. While 1967 pennies are common, the valuable ones are extraordinarily rare. So rare that collectors today describe them as ghosted anomalies. Coins that shouldn't exist, yet somehow slipped through. Many collectors believe they were created during transitional die experiments, accidental double striking, or unnoticed planchet variations during one of the most chaotic minting years in U.S. history. The result? A tiny population of elite 1967 no-mint mark pennies that carry astronomical value. Before we go deeper, ask yourself a simple question. When was the last time you checked the jar in your kitchen drawer, the dusty box in your attic, or the stack of old coins inherited from a grandparent? Most people don't. They assume everything there is worth nothing. But that's exactly where the lucky few have found life-changing coins. And here's the twist. Every rare 1967 penny found so far was discovered by an ordinary person who was simply curious enough to look. These high-value specimens share a combination of traits: flawless original luster, strong striking details, minimal handling, and in some cases, unique planchet discolorations or subtle doubling visible under magnification. A coin that's nearly perfect can sell for thousands. A coin that's flawless under professional grading can command hundreds of thousands. And then there are the unicorns, the multimillion-dollar elite pennies with dramatic errors, full red brilliance, or pristine MS-68 and MS-69 grades that collectors drool over. Imagine owning a 1-cent coin that sells for the price of a luxury condo or a multi-acre property. Imagine what that could mean for your life. Now here's where the excitement becomes urgency. The market for rare U.S. coins is exploding again. Collectors are aggressively hunting for 1967 pennies because the supply is shrinking. Every time a rare one enters a private collection, it nearly disappears from the open market for decades. And every time a new high-grade penny is discovered, the value of the remaining ones increases. We're witnessing a moment, one of those rare windows in history, where a simple penny can elevate someone from financial stress to financial freedom. But be warned, waiting too long to check your coins may cost you. As more people become aware of the value of the 1967 penny, competition tightens. Potential million-dollar pennies get scooped up faster, sent for grading, and locked away. Collectors call it the vanishing effect. Once prices peak, they rarely go back down. And if you're thinking of selling coins someday, you don't want to discover your treasure only after the peak has passed. Timing matters. Awareness matters. And taking action matters. So how do you know if your 1967 penny is special? Start by examining the color. Red pennies with original shine are the elite tier. Check for sharp details on Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat. Look closely at the date for doubling. Check the rim for unusual thickness. And most importantly, avoid touching the coin with your fingers. Oils from your skin can permanently damage a high-value penny in seconds. Yes, seconds. And yes, people have actually done that. One collector accidentally wiped nearly $200,000 off a coin's value just by cleaning it with a cloth. Painful lesson, but unforgettable. To give you a sense of scale, one professionally graded 1967 penny in near-perfect condition recently crossed the $967,000 mark at a private auction. Another with a dramatic minting anomaly sold for an eye-watering mid-six-figure price. And collectors whisper about an unconfirmed MS-69 specimen that could easily break the $1 million ceiling if it ever surfaces. Will you be the person who finds the next record breaker? Stranger things have happened. After all, nobody thinks they have a rare penny until the moment they hold it up to the light and see something different. The emotional impact of such a discovery is hard to describe. People cry, laugh, freeze, or stare in disbelief. One man who discovered a rare penny in his father's old cigar box described the moment as like winning a lottery you didn't know you were playing. And maybe that's the magic of these coins. They represent unexpected hope, hidden opportunity, and the thrilling possibility that wealth may be closer than you think. But let's be honest for a moment. Most people won't check their coins. They'll assume they know what they have. They'll think, what are the odds? And move on. And that's exactly why rare coins slip through unnoticed for decades. Don't be one of those people. Don't let hesitation stop you from uncovering potential life-changing value. Fear of missing out may be uncomfortable, but missing out completely is far worse. The world is changing. Savings accounts pay little. Investments swing wildly. But tangible assets like rare coins continue to rise steadily, generation after generation. And the 1967 no-mint mark penny stands at the center of one of the most exciting opportunities in modern coin collecting. If you're sitting on a coin collection, even a small one, you owe it to yourself to inspect every single piece carefully. Your wealth might already be in your possession, you just haven't unlocked it yet. Picture what an extra $20,000, $100,000, or even $967,000 could do for your life. Pay off your mortgage, buy property, start a business, leave a legacy for your children, travel the world, or simply breathe easier knowing that financial stress no longer controls your life. Sometimes the path to abundance begins with something as small as a penny. And here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. The rarest and most valuable 1967 penny ever found wasn't discovered by a collector. It wasn't found by a dealer. It wasn't found by someone wealthy or experienced. It was found by an ordinary person, someone just like you who simply decided to look. And if that doesn't make you wonder what's hiding in your own home, nothing will. Because in the world of rare coins, the next millionaire could be anyone, including you. Imagine waking up one morning, checking that old jar of coins you've ignored for years, and suddenly realizing that a single copper-colored penny, a coin you could have spent on a piece of gum, is now worth close to $1 million. It sounds unbelievable, almost like something reserved for the ultra-lucky or the ultra-wealthy. But what if I told you that the 1968 D. Lincoln penny, yes, the dirty little cent hiding in basements, attics, coffee cans, and old wallets across America, has quietly become one of the most shocking and valuable sleeper coins in the US market today. And if you think you don't have a life-changing coin sitting somewhere in your home, well, that's exactly what most people thought, right up until the moment they discovered they were wrong. This is the story of the 1968 D. Lincoln penny, how it climbed to a staggering market value of $968,000, and why ordinary Americans like you are suddenly uncovering wealth hidden in plain sight. Stay with me to the end, because the most important detail, the detail that could actually determine whether your penny is worth just 1 cent or well over 6 figures, is something most collectors don't even know exists. Before this coin became a financial lightning bolt, the 1968 D penny lived a humble life. Minted at the Denver Mint with a production that seemed unimaginably huge. Nobody back then believed a coin so common could ever become rare. After all, pennies were tossed into pockets, spilled into drawers, lost between couch cushions, handed to kids for vending machines. Who would ever think twice about a coin worth so little? But as time passed, something unexpected happened. Most of the 1968 D pennies disappeared into circulation. Others were worn down. Many were destroyed, melted, or simply forgotten. The few that survived in pristine, untouched condition suddenly became special, scarce, hidden gems in the largest treasure hunt America has ever unintentionally participated in. Collectors began noticing a pattern. The finest, sharpest, most well-preserved 1968 D pennies were not just uncommon, they were rare. And rarity in the coin world is like oxygen to a fire. It fuels value. It sparks bidding wars. It transforms a piece of copper into a powerful wealth-building asset. Still, nobody was prepared for what came next. When high-grade specimens hit the market, buyers did not hesitate. Prices didn't just rise, they skyrocketed. A coin that once quietly sat in change jars started crossing into six-figure territory. Then it crossed five-figure territory so casually that experienced collectors were caught off guard. And today, the current market has pushed the most perfectly preserved examples toward the unthinkable. A value of nearly $968,000. And that brings us to the question burning in your mind right now. What makes one 1968 D penny worth an entire luxury home, a sports car collection, or a full year of income? While most others barely buy a piece of candy, it comes down to one thing: condition. The sharpness of the strike, the level of preservation, the smallest details you might never notice, yet they hold the power to change your life. Most people look at a penny and think it's either shiny or dull. But collectors look for crisp edges, razor-sharp lettering, flawless lustrous surfaces, perfect steps on the Lincoln Memorial, and not a hint of damage from circulation. That microscopic difference, barely visible unless you know what to look for, can be the difference between 1 cent and nearly $1 million. And here's the kicker: most people throw away the very penny that could have delivered them that wealth. They see an old coin, maybe a little dirty, and think, it can't be valuable, right? But if you've ever thrown out old jeans with money still in them, you know how easy it is to give away something important without realizing it. Imagine doing that, but with a life-changing asset. Now let's talk about why collectors pay such staggering amounts for these rare survivors. It's not just about owning a coin. It's about owning history. The 1968 D penny represents an era of American resilience, rebuilding, and ambition. It's a relic from a time when families saved every cent, when the American dream felt alive and real. Holding a perfect 1968 D penny is like holding a slice of American identity, something both nostalgic and powerful. That emotional pull combined with extreme scarcity creates explosive demand. And once a coin enters that level of desirability, the market behaves in ways that even seasoned experts struggle to predict. Prices can jump in days. Auctions can double estimates. And collectors who once hesitated find themselves in bidding wars they simply cannot walk away from. Some call it obsession. Others call it passion. But if you're the one holding that prized penny, you'll probably call it opportunity. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly should I look for? How do I know if my 1968 D penny might be one of the valuable ones? And this is where the details become absolutely critical. Many people stop watching videos right before the most important information. Don't be one of them. The single detail that determines whether your coin is worth a fortune is coming up. Start by checking the mint mark. You want the clear, bold D underneath the date. Then examine the coin under bright light. You're searching for a lack of wear. No flattened cheek on Lincoln's profile. No soft lettering. No smoothing around the edges. A truly elite specimen will look as if time hasn't touched it. The luster, the natural shine that radiates from the metal, should move like liquid as you tilt the coin. That flowing movement is the signature of a coin that never entered real circulation. But that's not all. The reverse side, showing the Lincoln Memorial, is often what separates average coins from premium ones. The lines on the memorial should be sharp enough that you can count the steps. If those steps are crisp, clean, and fully visible, that's when serious collectors start paying attention. Still with me? Good. Because now we arrive at the single most overlooked factor: errors. Yes, mint errors. These accidental imperfections, caused during production, can elevate the value of a coin beyond even the highest grades. Off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, double dies. These mistakes turn an ordinary penny into an extraordinary rarity. And the 1968 D series has documented error varieties that collectors are aggressively hunting for right now. Imagine finding a coin with a double date or a repunched D mint mark. Imagine discovering it's been sitting in your house for 40 years. Imagine the moment you realize that the coin you once ignored now has the power to pay off debt, change your lifestyle, maybe even become the financial breakthrough you've been waiting for. The kind of breakthrough that brings freedom, security, and the ability to live life on your own terms. And here's the twist most viewers never expect. The rarest, most valuable coins usually aren't found in coin shops. They're found by ordinary people. In pocket change, in shoeboxes, in bags of old coins inherited from parents and grandparents. The universe seems to love hiding treasure where we least expect it. The clock is ticking, though. As more people discover the value of the 1968 D penny, fewer hidden gems remain out in the wild. Every day, coins are being graded, bought, sealed, and locked away permanently in private collections. The window of opportunity is still open, but it won't stay open forever. And if you're serious about building wealth, even starting with something as small as a penny, this is not a moment to wait. It's a moment to ACT.so check your coins. Search those jars. Open those old boxes in the attic. Revisit that dusty container of change you haven't touched since your college days. You may think you're just looking at old pennies, but one of them might be looking back at you with the potential to change your future. Because in a world where fortune often feels out of reach, sometimes wealth doesn't come from luck, privilege, or connections. Sometimes it comes from a 1-cent coin minted in 1968 at the Denver Mint. And if you happen to find the right one, the one worth up to $968,000, well, let's just say your wealthy lifestyle might start with something far smaller and far more unexpected than you ever imagined. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old coffee jar, and discovering a single penny that could change your entire financial future. Sounds impossible, right? Yet every day, someone in America stumbles upon a coin that turns out to be worth more than their car, their savings account, or even their yearly salary. And today, we're talking about one of the most electrifying coins in U.S. history, the 1969 D. Lincoln penny. A coin that some collectors have valued at up to millions of dollars, and one that currently commands up to $969,000 in the right condition. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that cost 1 cent to mint can now be worth more than a luxury home. But before you rush to your drawer, your garage, or that shoebox filled with coins you haven't touched since the 90s, there's something you should know. Not every 1969 D penny is valuable. In fact, only a tiny fraction of them hold life-changing potential. And the story behind this coin is filled with mystery, fear of missing out, excitement, and enough suspense to keep even seasoned collectors on the edge of their seats. It all starts with a question. How can something so small, so ordinary, suddenly become the key to financial freedom? And more importantly, do you have one? The journey of the 1969 D penny begins in a moment of American history shaped by transition. The late 1960s were turbulent, uncertain, and full of change. The mint produced billions of pennies, but as with all rare coins, it's the errors, the anomalies, and the unexpected flaws that transform a common coin into a valuable treasure. That's where the story of the 1969 D takes its dramatic turn, and where collectors start paying unbelievable amounts for what seems like the most ordinary coin in the world. Now, most people would look at a penny from the 1960s and toss it back into circulation without a second thought. But the stakes become a lot more compelling when you find out that some coins from this year have sold for prices that can buy you a luxury car, a vacation home, or a ticket to the financial freedom you've always envisioned. Imagine the fear of knowing you might have thrown one away years ago. Imagine the excitement knowing you might still have one hidden somewhere. And imagine the urgency of realizing you need to check your stash now, before someone else discovers what you overlooked. The secret to the 1969 D penny's extraordinary value lies in the rare errors connected to the year, and in the impossibly high grades that only a tiny percentage of coins ever achieve. Some have extremely sharp details, pristine surfaces, and flawless strikes that make them stand out the moment an expert sees them. And when a coin like this reaches a top-tier grading of MS67 or higher, it stops being a penny and becomes a six-figure investment. If that doesn't make you want to grab a magnifying glass, I don't know what will. But here's a twist. Many collectors make the same mistake. They assume their penny has no value because it looks old, or because they're not sure what an error looks like. Others believe that only collectors find rare coins. But the truth is, most life-changing coin discoveries are made by people just like you. Regular Americans cleaning out old boxes, sorting change jars, or going through inherited collections. Sometimes all it takes is one tiny detail, one overlooked marking, one slight doubling, or one perfect surface to turn a 1-cent coin into nearly $1 million. If that doesn't make your heart race a little, check your pulse. Picture this, you're holding a 1969 D penny. At first glance, it's dull, brown, and worn like any other. But the moment you tilt it under the light, something catches your eye. A sharper relief than usual. A crispness in Lincoln's portrait. Lettering that looks unusually bold. And suddenly, every second of your life pauses as the possibility hits you. Could this be the one? It's the kind of moment collectors dream about. It's the same feeling treasure hunters get when metal detectors start beeping in places they least expect. And it's the moment that has turned ordinary people into extraordinary success stories. But here's where the fear sets in. Not everyone knows how to recognize a valuable 1969 D penny. And sadly, some people accidentally sell theirs for pennies, not realizing their mistake until long after their coin has been purchased by someone else, graded, and resold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Nothing hurts quite like watching someone else profit from what could have been your ticket to wealth. That's why understanding the fine details is everything. What makes a 1969 D penny valuable? It's a combination of condition, rarity, historical interest, minting quality, and in some cases specific die characteristics. Think of it as real estate. Location matters, but so does the structure, the design, the foundation, and the uniqueness. A perfect 1969 D penny is like a home in the best neighborhood, on the best block, with the best architecture and flawless construction. And when collectors see that level of perfection, the bidding war begins. Now imagine this. A coin gets evaluated by a top grading company. It comes back with a near-perfect grade, one that only a handful of coins in existence ever receive. Suddenly, its value skyrockets. Collectors start talking. Auction houses start calling. Offers start rising. And before you know it, that tiny penny becomes one of the most sought-after treasures in the entire coin market. That's how a coin that once bought a piece of candy now has a current market value reaching $969,000. Still thinking a penny is just a penny? Not anymore. But before we get to the end, here's the cliffhanger. The 1969 D penny story isn't finished. New discoveries are still being made. Coins believed to be common are still turning up in private collections. And the one sitting in your home right now, yes, the one you haven't checked yet, might be the next record breaker waiting to happen. Think about that for a moment. A single penny, forgotten in a drawer for decades, could be the catalyst that changes your life, that helps you build wealth, that moves you closer to the lifestyle you've always wanted, that gives you the freedom to make choices based on desire, not desperation. Why do collectors pay so much? Because rarity fuels desire, because history holds value, and because when something is truly scarce, people compete for the chance to own it. The same way investors chase gold, art, real estate, or stocks, coin collectors chase perfection. And when perfection appears in the form of a 1969 D penny, the financial world takes notice. If you're wondering whether you could be sitting on a gold mine, the only way to know is to check. Search your jars. Open your drawers. Look through every old envelope of coins left behind by parents, grandparents, or even a friend who simply handed you a handful of change years ago. Don't assume it's worthless. Don't assume the opportunity has passed, because opportunities like this are rarely obvious until someone else cashes in on them. And here's something to consider. What if you looked through your coins today and found something extraordinary? What if tomorrow you discovered that your 1-cent coin could bring you a step closer to the life you envision? More freedom, more comfort, more security, maybe a home upgrade, early retirement, or simply the peace of knowing you grabbed your chance before it slipped away. The people who profit from rare coins aren't just collectors. They're people who stay curious. They're people who don't ignore the small things. They're people who understand that wealth often hides in plain sight. And now, with everything you've learned, the next move is yours. Imagine reaching into an old coffee jar, the one tucked away behind the baking soda for decades, and discovering a penny so valuable it could change the direction of your entire life. A simple, everyday coin, suddenly worth more than a luxury car, a year of income, even a fully paid home. Today, we're uncovering the hidden reality behind one of America's most surprising treasure pieces. The 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that can sell in rare cases for up to millions of dollars, with elite collectors currently paying as high as $978,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a 1-cent coin. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me because by the time we're done, you may be racing to check your own loose change drawers. The story of this coin begins like most extraordinary discoveries do. Quietly, almost invisibly, hidden in plain sight. The 1978 penny wasn't born to be famous. It rolled out of the Philadelphia Mint by the hundreds of millions. To most people, it was a forgettable object, passed from hand to hand, caught beneath couch cushions, lost in glove compartments. But success, they say, often hides where people aren't looking. And beneath the ordinary copper glow of this penny lies a secret that only a handful of collectors truly understand. The first piece of that secret is condition. Now, you may be thinking, how pristine can a penny even get? Isn't it just tossed around endlessly? Exactly. That's what makes a flawless 1978 no-mint mark penny so breathtakingly rare. Most of these coins are scratched, dented, or worn into anonymity. But a few, very few, escaped the chaos of circulation. They landed untouched in old rolls, private collections, or estates where time simply forgot them. When one of these flawless survivors appears, the numismatic world reacts with the intensity of Wall Street during a stock surge. But condition alone doesn't tell the full story. There's another layer that separates a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth a fortune, and that is the presence of unusual strikes, double dies, and the kind of minting anomalies that create once-in-a-lifetime valuation spikes. Imagine discovering a subtle doubling on the date or lettering, a microscopic flaw that turns an everyday coin into a portal of wealth. Some of these error examples are so scarce that entire communities of collectors will bid, battle, and outbid again just for the privilege of owning one. It's like watching a quiet penny transform into the star athlete everyone underestimated. And if you've ever wondered how something this small could create so much excitement, here's the funny truth. Sometimes the tiniest imperfection is what brings the biggest payoff. Life is strange like that. If only our own imperfections worked the same way, though depending on who's judging, maybe they do. People ask, why this coin, why 1978, why today? Why are collectors suddenly willing to pay nearly $1 million for the perfect example? The answer lies in a mixture of supply, demand, nostalgia, and the emotional power of rarity. Collectors who grew up in the 70s now have the wealth to buy back the memories they once carried in their pockets. And as they compete for the finest examples, the prices skyrocket with every new auction. Meanwhile, the supply of pristine or error 1978 pennies is shrinking fast. Each time one is sold into a private collection, it disappears from the open market for decades, sometimes forever. This shrinking supply creates urgency, a quiet ticking clock for anyone holding old coins. Because when the demand rises and the available specimens fall, something extraordinary happens. The value surges beyond logic. This is how a penny minting in the late 70s becomes a 6-figure artifact of American history, and in the rarest cases, a $1 million masterpiece. Now, here's the question that pulls people in. Could there be one of these 1,978 treasures sitting in your home right now? Think about it. How many drawers, piggy banks, jars, and shoeboxes are packed with forgotten change? How many estates, old desks, and family collections hide coins untouched since the Carter administration? Your wealth might not be waiting on Wall Street. It might be waiting in a dusty old box that no one bothered to open. But before rushing off to search through your change, you should know what separates a valuable 1978 penny from an ordinary one. First, the shine. High-grade examples usually have razor-sharp details, reflective surfaces, and an appearance that looks almost unreal for something minted nearly half a century ago. If you pick up a penny and feel a strange excitement like, wait, this looks too good for its age, trust that instinct. That instinct has led ordinary people to extraordinary payouts. Second, the details. Look closely at the date, the lettering, Lincoln's profile, the edges. Any signs of doubling, irregular strikes, or unusual boldness in the design could signal a high-value error. These aren't always obvious. Sometimes you need magnification. But isn't it thrilling that a single magnified detail could be the difference between pocket change and generational wealth? And third, the authenticity check. When you think you've found something special, you need professional grading. That single step transforms uncertainty into certainty. It gives collectors confidence and gives you negotiating power. And trust me, when a potential buyer sees a rare 1978 penny in mint state condition with professional certification, their pulse doesn't just rise. A bidding war becomes almost inevitable. But here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. Every year, fewer and fewer of these coins remain in top condition. Circulation damage, improper storage, and natural wear are constantly destroying their value. Meanwhile, more people are discovering the secret of the 1978 penny, increasing competition. It's a race against time that rewards the people who act quickly and punishes the ones who wait for someday. Someday is how value is lost. Today is how wealth is found. And just when you think the story settles there, there's a deeper layer, a layer that speaks directly to the people holding these coins, knowingly or not. There's a generation of Americans right now sitting on untapped value without even realizing it. Closets packed with old belongings, inherited boxes from parents and grandparents, jars filled during the 80s and never opened again. The wealth is there. The opportunity is there. The question is, will they look? What makes this even more exciting is that the people who discover rare pennies are rarely professional collectors. They're everyday individuals. They're retirees clearing out storage units, adults sorting childhood collections, families exploring old keepsakes. Their discoveries don't come with warning signs. One moment they're cleaning house, and the next they're holding a coin worth the kind of money that makes you rethink everything. So imagine this. You're sitting at a table, sorting through change just to pass the time. You pick up a penny. You notice something different, maybe the shine, maybe the thickness of the lettering, maybe nothing you can explain. You search online. You compare details. You feel your heartbeat shift just a little. Could this be it? Could this be the thing that changes everything? And then you get it graded. And the grading comes back higher than you expected. Then the offers start rolling in. 5,000, 50,000, 100,000, $500,000. And then, a collector steps forward with an offer that takes your breath away. $978,000. For a coin that cost you nothing to keep. No investment. No risk. No complicated strategy. Just awareness, timing, and the courage to look at what you already have. But here's the cliffhanger, the part no one ever tells you. The next $1 million penny is still out there. It hasn't been found. It hasn't been graded. It hasn't been placed into a museum or sealed away in a private collection. It's waiting, maybe in someone's home, maybe in a forgotten jar, maybe in your home. And the only question left, the question that decides whether this story becomes your story, is simple. Will you look for it? Because the difference between 1 cent and $1 million is just one moment of curiosity and one life-changing discovery. Welcome back. Imagine discovering that a simple penny, the kind that's been hiding in your kitchen drawer, buried in an old jar, or forgotten at the bottom of a glove compartment, could change your financial future. Imagine that penny carrying the power to add nearly $1 million to your life. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But the truth is, the 1988 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is astonishing collectors across America, with rare examples selling for up to millions of dollars and certain high-grade specimens reaching a current market value of around $988,000. And the real question is, could one of these life-changing coins be sitting in your home right now? The story behind this penny begins quietly, almost invisibly, much like the coin itself. No flashy mint mark. No special design. Nothing that would make the average person stop and look twice. Yet beneath that ordinary copper-plated zinc surface is a hidden world of rarity, mystery, and opportunity. Most people have walked past one of these coins without ever realizing what they held. Maybe you have too. But sometimes the smallest, quietest objects hold the greatest power, and this unassuming piece of metal became one of the most unexpected golden tickets in modern numismatics. It started with a few collectors noticing something strange, something easy to miss unless you knew exactly where to look. Tiny detail, a slight variation, a subtle error that shouldn't exist. Some called it a whisper from the mint. Others called it a mistake worth a fortune. But whatever you call it, it's the reason this coin skyrocketed from pocket change to a six-figure treasure. And as more people discovered the truth, the excitement grew. along with the urgency. Because when collectors realize the supply of a rare coin is drying up, the prices don't just climb. Sometimes they leap. But before we dive into exactly what to look for, and yes, this part might just make you jump out of your chair and start checking your old jars, let's take a step back. Every great opportunity begins with a shift in perspective. The moment when something seemingly ordinary becomes significant. For many people, the 1988 penny has become a reminder that wealth isn't always found in banks, businesses, or big investments. Sometimes, it's found in the smallest corners of our lives. The forgotten, the overlooked, the taken for granted. And that alone should make every viewer wonder, what else am I overlooking that could change everything? Now back to that tiny detail on the 1988 penny. The reason this coin has stunned experts. While most 1988 Lincoln cents were struck with a standard die, a very limited number were struck using the reverse design intended for 1989. A transitional rarity, a mismatch at the mint, a tiny error that collectors chase like treasure hunters. How tiny? So tiny that most people will never notice it unless they know the secret. And here's where it gets thrilling. That secret could be sitting in your home right now in the form of a penny worth up to $988. 000. What does this rare reverse look like? How can you tell if you have the valuable version? Well, here's where your heart might race a little. Look closely at the letters in 1 cent on the back. The style is sharply defined in a way the standard 1988 version is not. The designer's initials, FG, sit slightly differently, closer, more refined, like a whisper of future minting technology that accidentally slipped into the past. It's a mistake that wasn't supposed to happen, and mistakes at the mint are the lifeblood of million-dollar coins. Now, before you rush off to flip every penny in your house, stay with me, because knowing what to look for is only the first step. The second step, and the one that truly turns opportunity into wealth, is understanding condition. Even among rare coins, condition separates the penny worth a few thousand from the penny worth nearly $1 million. A high-grade 1988 transitional penny is like finding lightning in a bottle. It's the type of coin that collectors fight over, auction houses promote like celebrities, and wealthy buyers chase because owning one isn't just about value. It's about status. Imagine holding a coin that wealthy collectors dream of. Imagine the feeling of knowing that something so small carries the power to rewrite your financial reality. The idea that a penny could pay off a home, retire debt, or build generational wealth is almost unbelievable. And yet here we are. The market has spoken. Demand is rising. Supply is vanishing. And collectors are paying staggering prices for even the chance to own this quiet, unassuming piece of history. Now, let's address a fear many people have when they first hear stories like this. What if I had one of these pennies years ago and I already spent it? What if I let a fortune slip through my fingers? It's a fair question, and honestly, we've all felt that sting at some point. But the truth is, millions of 1988 pennies are still out there. Some in circulation, some in jars, some tucked into dusty albums in attics and basements. And someone somewhere is going to find the next big one. Why shouldn't it be you? As you check your coins, and yes, by the end of this video you absolutely will, remember that timing matters. Every year, more of these rare pennies are discovered, graded, and locked away into private collections forever. That means fewer opportunities for new finds, fewer chances for life-changing discoveries, and higher prices for the ones that remain. The window is still open, but it isn't wide. Opportunities like this don't wait, and they don't repeat. So let's talk about value. The highest graded 1988 no-mint mark transitional penny has approached the $988,000 mark, shocking collectors and establishing this coin as one of the most profitable modern rarities in American coin history. Lower grades have still sold for tens of thousands. Even mid-level finds can finance major goals. A single lucky discovery could mean an upgraded home, a better retirement, a fresh start. And yes, some truly flawless examples have crossed into million-dollar territory in private sales. It's not hype, it's happening. But here's the twist, the part that makes the story feel almost cinematic. You won't know if you have one until you look. And maybe, just maybe, the one penny that could rewrite your future has been in your possession for years without you realizing it. Maybe you've held it, spent it, saved it, ignored it. Maybe it's sitting somewhere right now, waiting for you to finally recognize it. That's the cliffhanger life loves to play. The treasure appears only to the person willing to search for it. And if you're thinking this couldn't possibly happen to you, well, so did the last person who found one. Rare coin discoveries always come from ordinary people living ordinary days until something extraordinary happens. That's the beauty of this world. Wealth sometimes hides in plain sight. Opportunity doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, it looks like a penny. So as we come to the final moments of this story, take a breath and imagine the possibilities. Imagine opening an old envelope and seeing a penny that feels different. Imagine the thrill of comparing the details and realizing what you've found. Imagine the moment your heart jumps because you know, deep down, this isn't just a coin. It's a turning point. That turning point could be waiting for you. All it takes is a few minutes, a sharp eye, and the belief that the smallest things can create the biggest shifts. Search your old collections. Dig through your jars. Look through your pockets. Because the next 1988 penny worth $988,000 is still out there. Someone is going to find it. And if you're watching this video, it's probably because a part of you already suspects that someone could be you. Imagine opening an old jar of pennies tucked away in the back of a closet and discovering that one of those ordinary brown coins is secretly worth more than a luxury home. It sounds impossible, but today you're about to learn how an everyday 1989 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, the same one millions of Americans handled without a second thought, has shocked collectors with auction prices rising as high as $989,000. And yes, under the right circumstances, this coin can reach into the millions. Before you think, a penny can't do that, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how people just like you turned an overlooked coin into life-changing wealth. Let's go back for a moment, because the story of this penny begins long before collectors started fighting over it. Picture the year 1989. Gas was cheap, the dollar stretched further, and no one imagined that a simple cent struck that year would someday rise to legendary status. Most 1989 pennies were mass-produced and worth only what was stamped on their surface. But a very small number, a shockingly small number, came out of the mint with characteristics so rare, so flawless, and so mysterious that decades later they are commanding near million-dollar price tags. And in a moment, you'll hear what those characteristics are. Even though most people have never been told, if you've ever wondered whether you might be sitting on something valuable without realizing it, this story should give you chills. Because the truth is, thousands of people across the country have jars, drawers, and old boxes filled with pennies they haven't checked in 20 or 30 years. Many of those pennies came from the late 80s and early 90s. And as unlikely as it sounds, one of them could be a retirement plan masquerading as pocket change. Before we move forward, serious question. When was the last time you even looked at a penny long enough to notice the year? Exactly. So keep watching. As collectors dug deeper into the 1989 release, something unexpected surfaced. Coins without a mint mark, those made in Philadelphia, began showing signs of unusual die conditions. Some came off the press with nearly perfect strike quality, microscopic details, razor-sharp edges, and mirror-like surfaces. A handful emerged with rare errors and variations that experts still debate. For years, these coins slipped through circulation unnoticed. Most people spent them without a second thought, never imagining the future value sealed inside that copper-plated shell. Then, as high-grade examples slowly appeared in auctions, the collecting world jolted awake. A single pristine 1989 no-mint mark penny sold for hundreds of thousands. Another resurfaced and broke even higher records. And then came the truly unbelievable sale nearing $989,000, almost $1 million for 1 cent. Why? Because the coin wasn't just rare. It was flawless, in a condition almost impossible to find, preserved as if time itself had sealed it in glass. Now here's where this becomes urgent for you. Every time a coin reaches a record, interest skyrockets. Demand rises, prices jump, and ordinary people start discovering that the loose change they've kept for years has a value they never imagined. Not just hundreds, not just thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, sometimes more. And right now, the 1989 no-mint mark penny is at the center of that storm. Let's pause for a moment, because you may be wondering, what makes a penny like this reach world-class value? And more importantly, how do you know if you have one? Stay with me until the end, because the details you're about to hear could mean the difference between cashing in big or overlooking a fortune. Collectors look for three things: perfection, rarity, and story. The 1989 no-mint mark penny has all three. First, perfection. The top-grade coins are almost impossible to recreate today. They have shimmering surfaces, untouched fields, and no visible wear under magnification. Second, rarity. Very few have been found in the high grades that collectors crave, and even fewer remain in flawless condition. Third, story. This coin represents the end of one era and the start of another, as the U.S. Mint shifted its production systems. That transition created unusual striking conditions that collectors can't resist. But here's the twist. Most of the valuable 1989 pennies were never set aside intentionally. They were pulled from circulation by people who simply got lucky. Picture someone in 1989 receiving a crisp roll of pennies from a bank and tossing them into a drawer, never knowing that one of those cents would someday be worth more than their entire house. It sounds unbelievable, but these stories happen more often than you think. And one day, one of them might be yours. Now imagine this scenario. You're holding a coin that looks completely ordinary. Brown, worn, familiar. But under the right grade, the right condition, or the right error, that very coin could be worth more than a year of your salary, or 10 years, or even enough to retire early and enjoy the wealthy, worry-free lifestyle you've dreamed about. This is why collectors call coins like the 1989 no-mint mark penny sleepers. They hide in plain sight. But before you rush to check every penny in your house, there's something you need to know. The truly valuable ones are hidden among the ordinary. They don't announce themselves. They look just like the others until you examine them closely. And that's why so many people miss out. They never take the time. They assume nothing valuable could possibly be sitting inside a jar in their garage. But time and time again, the people who finally look end up being the ones who win. Let's be honest. How many times have we all said we'll get around to checking things later? And yet later never comes. Meanwhile, coins keep disappearing from circulation. Collectors snatch up the top examples, and prices continue to climb. The longer you wait, the smaller your chances become. That sense of urgency? It's real. Because once these coins are in private collections, they almost never return to the market. But here comes the exciting part. You still have a chance. There are still undiscovered 1989 no-mint mark pennies out there. They're lying in coffee cans, hiding in dusty drawers, sitting untouched in change jars across the country. Some are in near-perfect condition, just waiting to be found. And the next person to uncover one could be you. Just imagine what that would mean. Your life could shift in an instant. A single discovery could wipe out debts, secure your future, or open the door to a lifestyle you once thought belonged only to the wealthy. These are the moments that change everything. Not because you got lucky, but because you finally paid attention to the hidden opportunities around you. Of course, you might be thinking, why hasn't anyone told me this sooner? Well, here's the truth. Serious collectors and dealers already know. They've been watching this coin quietly rise for years. But most everyday people have never heard the full story. And that lack of knowledge keeps them from realizing their own potential windfall. And now, as we reach the end of this journey, there is one final piece you need to hear, because the most valuable 1989 penny ever discovered was found by someone who almost threw it away. They weren't a collector. They weren't an expert. They were simply someone who decided to check their change rather than ignore it. One tiny decision that turned into nearly $1 million. So here's your moment. Will you walk past the pennies in your life? Or will you take the small step that most people won't and discover whether the next record-breaking treasure is already in your home? Your future wealth may be hiding inside a coin you've owned for decades. The question now is simple. Are you going to find it before someone else does? Imagine waking up one morning, opening an old drawer, and discovering that a tiny brown coin you've ignored for decades could be worth more than most luxury homes in America. A coin so ordinary, so easy to overlook, that millions of people have touched it, spent it, dropped it, and forgotten it. And yet today, this tiny Lincoln penny from 1991 with a humble D mint mark, has shaken the collector world by reaching a staggering market value of up to $991,000. Some versions have even crossed into the million-dollar conversation. Hard to believe, of course. Impossible? Absolutely not. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why. Before we go deeper, ask yourself one question. When was the last time you checked your pocket change carefully? Not casually, but carefully. Because the fear of missing out on a life-changing opportunity is real. And the truth is, people are discovering fortunes in the most unexpected places. The next person might be you. Hold on to that thought. The story of the 1991 D. Lincoln penny begins like any other piece of American currency, pressed inside the Denver Mint, circulated nationwide, and blending into the billions of coins moving through the U.S. economy. It was never intended to stand out. Yet history has a way of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary when timing, rarity, and demand collide. At first glance, the 1991 D penny seems like the least exciting coin ever. No silver, no famous errors printed in textbooks, no dramatic backstory. Just a copper-plated zinc cent worth 1 cent. But that's exactly what makes its rise so fascinating. This is a coin that hid from fame for decades, only to explode in value when collectors realized what had quietly slipped into circulation. But why now? Why this penny? Why so much money? The answer begins with scarcity, the king of coin value. Even though millions of 1991 D pennies were minted, only a microscopic handful survived in flawless condition. And flawless is where the big money lives. Imagine the coin equivalent of an untouched first edition comic book, still in perfect shape while the world around it ages and crumbles. A perfect 1991 D penny, especially one with certain unique characteristics, becomes a trophy. The type of treasure that wealthy collectors fight over, driving its price higher and higher with each auction. You might be wondering, what makes a tiny D on a penny worth nearly $1 million? Here's where things get exciting. In extremely rare cases, these pennies were struck with unusually sharp detail, perfectly centered designs, and near-mirror surfaces that shouldn't exist on regular circulation coins. Some pieces slipped through the mint with a level of precision more commonly seen on special collector strikes, making them freak accidents of perfection. And when perfection meets rarity, the market goes wild. In recent years, a handful of these elite examples have shattered expectations. Private sales and high-end auctions have seen extraordinary figures, $500,000, $700,000, and now a staggering $991,000. Yes, nearly $1 million. For a penny most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the sidewalk. Suddenly, that old jar of coins in your closet looks a lot more interesting. And here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. Not every valuable 1991 D penny looks obviously special. The differences can be microscopic, hidden, or easy to miss unless you know what to look for. The fear of letting something priceless slip through your hands is real. You can imagine the panic of someone who spent 1 year ago without checking it. But on the flip side, the excitement of those who find one is indescribable. That blend of fear and hope is exactly why people are searching for these coins more aggressively than ever before. But this story isn't just about the coin. It's about timing, awareness, and the opportunity sitting quietly in almost every American household. Many people watching this right now have at least a few pennies from the late 80s and early 90s stored away. Maybe in a jar, maybe in a drawer, maybe buried in a forgotten box in the garage. And if you knew that even one of those could instantly transform your financial reality, would you take a closer look? Or would you shrug and say, "Nah, not me"? Hopefully, you're not choosing the second option. Your future self might laugh at you or cry. The booming interest in rare coins isn't slowing down, and that's another reason this penny has skyrocketed in value. Wealthy investors are shifting money into hard assets, rare items, collectibles, tangible pieces of history that don't vanish in a market crash. A millionaire might buy a rare penny not because they need it, but because it's a symbol, a statement, a flex, something to show, to protect, to pass down. And when deep pockets start bidding, the price becomes a rocket ship. But remember this part, because it might be the most important piece of the puzzle. The 1991 D penny isn't just valuable because it's rare. It's valuable because so few people knew they needed to save it. Very few were preserved intentionally. The ones that survived did so by accident. A coin tossed into a drawer and forgotten. A roll of pennies someone never bothered to cash in. A coin collection inherited from a relative who didn't know what they owned. Almost like destiny preparing a surprise decades later. And if you think that sounds like pure luck, here's the secret: luck favors the alert, the watcher, the person who doesn't ignore opportunities. If someone offered you a free lottery ticket, would you throw it away? Of course not. So why throw away a chance that may already be in your home? It's funny how many people spend hours searching for ways to get rich, but won't spend 5 minutes checking their pocket change. Now imagine the moment someone discovers a high-grade 1991 D penny. Maybe they're just sorting through coins. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they're cleaning out a drawer. They see a tiny penny. They think nothing of it. But then, just out of curiosity, they look closer. Their heart jumps. Their hands shake. They start Googling. They compare images. They look again. And suddenly, the truth hits them. They've just stumbled into a 6-figure opportunity, maybe even a 7-figure one. That feeling, that adrenaline rush, is what makes coin hunting addictive. Of course, not every 1991 D penny is worth $1 million. Only a very small percentage have the condition or characteristics that push them into the elite category. But here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. The next one hasn't been found yet, at least not publicly, which means someone out there still has it. Someone who doesn't know. Someone who might be watching this video right now. Maybe someone like you. And as crazy as it sounds, the market is still rising. Demand is increasing. Collectors are competing. And as more people become aware, the few remaining high-grade examples become even more valuable. It's a perfect storm of rarity, hype, and wealth concentration. Coins that were once ignored are now being hunted with the intensity of treasure seekers chasing a lost city. But before you sprint to your coin jar, slow down for just a moment. The secret to identifying a potentially valuable 1991 D penny is condition. Coins with sharp lines, blazing luster, no scratches, no discoloration, and perfect details are the ones with serious potential. If your penny looks like it survived a hurricane, it probably isn't the $1 million superstar. But if it looks unexpectedly fresh, crisp, almost new, you could be looking at something special. And here's a funny thought to reset your attention. Isn't it strange how we clean our homes, our cars, even our phones religiously, but coin collectors want dirt-free coins that have never been cleaned at all? If you clean it, you kill it. Whoever designed this rule definitely had a sense of humor. As we move to the final part of this journey, remember this: wealth doesn't always arrive in dramatic ways. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it hides, and sometimes it disguises itself as a penny you forgot about 20 years ago. The people who become wealthy from coins aren't always experts. They're often ordinary people who simply paid attention, who took action, who checked what others ignored. So here's your moment of truth. Will you let the possibility slip by pretending this is just another video? Or will you take the next few minutes to look through your coins and maybe, just maybe, find the penny that rewrites your future? If this coin could rise to $991,000 today, imagine where it could be next year. Imagine what one discovery could do for your life, your family, your dreams. Wealth favors the curious. And if you think this is the end of the story, not quite. Because the 1991 D Lincoln penny is just one of many modern coins quietly climbing toward $1 million territory. But that is a story for another video. Imagine waking up one morning, rummaging through a jar of old change, and discovering that a simple 2002 D Lincoln penny, yes, the same copper-plated zinc coin you've probably ignored for decades, could be worth more than a luxury home. It sounds unbelievable, almost like a late-night infomercial. Yet it's real. Because right now, certain rare 2002 D pennies are commanding jaw-dropping prices, with exceptional specimens reaching a current market value as high as $202,000. And in extreme cases, under the right conditions, these coins have the potential to climb into the realm of millions. The real question is, could one of those life-changing pennies be sitting in your drawer right now, Before you answer that, take a breath. Because once you understand how a modern 1-cent coin can evolve into a wealth-generating asset, your entire perspective on worthless change will shift forever. People like you, everyday Americans looking for financial breakthroughs, have already turned small finds into massive windfalls. And today, you're going to learn exactly how. Back in 2002, the Denver Mint produced over 3.2 billion Lincoln pennies. At first glance, that number seems like the opposite of rare. But here's the twist. Among billions of ordinary coins exist a tiny handful of extraordinary ones. Coins struck with unusual precision, rare errors, or near-perfect preservation. Coins that slipped through the cracks of circulation untouched. Coins that now sit at the intersection of rarity, condition, and collector demand, the holy trinity of numismatic value. Now, you might be thinking, how does a coin minted just 2 decades ago become this valuable? Shouldn't only old coins command big numbers? That assumption is exactly why so many people unknowingly toss wealth into coin-counting machines. The truth is, collectors don't just chase age. They chase scarcity, perfection, and desirability. And the 2002 penny has all three hiding beneath its humble copper surface. Some of the most valuable examples are grading miracles. Coins preserved in nearly flawless condition, known in the collecting world as high-grade mint state specimens. A penny that looks as if it was frozen in time on the very day it left the Denver Mint. No scratches, no wear, no discoloration, just pure, untouched brilliance. It's the difference between a crumpled dollar bill and a crisp, fresh one. Except in the coin world, that difference isn't a few bucks. It's hundreds of thousands. But condition alone doesn't create six-figure magic. What truly launches the 2002 penny into legendary status is the presence of rare minting errors. Imagine a double die that makes Lincoln's features slightly doubled. Or a striking error where the coin wasn't aligned perfectly. Or a clipped planchet where a small piece is physically missing from the edge. These microscopic quirks, these little accidents, turn an everyday penny into a numismatic celebrity. And because collectors crave errors like treasure hunters crave gold, prices skyrocket. Now here's where things get really interesting. A perfect 2002 penny with a dramatic error isn't just rare. It's one in many millions. A coin like that, in the right auction with the right bidding frenzy, can climb even higher than today's known market value. Some experts argue that a truly exceptional specimen could approach or even surpass the $1 million mark. Sounds wild until you remember someone once paid over $1 million for a 1943 copper penny. When demand meets rarity, anything is possible. And this is where the excitement turns into urgency. Coins like this don't sit in banks or high-security vaults. They sit in pockets, jars, drawers, and old coffee cans. They sit in the places you've probably ignored for years. Some people toss them into car cup holders like confetti, unaware that a simple glance could rewrite their financial future. That's why collectors are searching aggressively and why you should be searching too. But be honest, when was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? Not just glanced at them, but examined them? Most people haven't. Most people assume pennies are too common, too boring, too worthless. And that assumption is exactly what keeps life-changing finds hidden for decades. The good news? You're now ahead of millions of people. You know which coin to look for. You know what its potential is. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to identify the 2002 penny that could transform your financial future. Before we reveal what to look for, let's take a moment to appreciate the design itself. The 2002 penny showcases Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has remained a part of American identity since 1909. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands boldly, symbolizing strength, history, and unity. A coin with over a century of legacy, still minted in modern times, still quiet and unassuming, yet still capable of becoming a high-value collectible. Isn't it incredible how something so ordinary can hold such extraordinary potential? Almost like certain people you meet, but that's a story for another day. Now, let's uncover the exact features that could make your 2002 penny worth a fortune. Start with the mint mark. You want the bold, clear D right under the date. Then move to the surface. Under bright light, tilt the coin slowly. Do you see scratches? Cloudy patches? Spots? If you do, it may not be high grade, but don't toss it yet. Errors can still make lower grade coins valuable. Next, look for doubling. Focus on Lincoln's eye, lips, and the date. Doubling can be subtle, almost like a shadow made of metal. If you see it, your heart might skip a beat. And it should. Then examine the rim. Any breaks? Any clipped edges? Any unusual thickness? These oddities are signs of minting irregularities that collectors adore. Finally, flip to the reverse. Study the Lincoln Memorial. Look at the pillars, the text, the steps. Anything that seems off, crooked, stretched, doubled, missing, could be your golden ticket. Sometimes the most valuable errors aren't bold and dramatic, but tiny, barely noticeable imperfections that reveal a one-of-a-kind production anomaly. And here's where the cliffhanger comes in. Even if your penny looks perfect, even if it doesn't show obvious errors, it may still hold a secret, one that only professional grading can uncover. A coin can appear ordinary to the naked eye, yet under a microscope, reveal details that launch it into the highest categories of rarity. So never assume, never dismiss a good-looking penny. The ones that change lives are often the ones people overlook. Now let's address the fear factor. Too many people hesitate. They think their coins aren't good enough. They're afraid of being wrong, afraid of wasting time, afraid of getting their hopes up. But the only real risk is doing nothing. Because while fear freezes people, opportunities slip away. Quietly, quickly, silently. Winners take action. Winners check their coins. Winners look for possibilities in places others ignore. And wealth has a funny habit of rewarding those who dare to look twice. And speaking of wealth, let's talk about what happens when someone does find that rare 2002 penny. The moment is electrifying. One auction, one coin, one unexpected discovery, and suddenly, the course of someone's financial life shifts. Mortgage gone, car paid off, investments funded. A dream retirement becomes reality. Because sometimes wealth doesn't come from a paycheck. It comes from awareness. Awareness of the value hiding in plain sight. Imagine how your life could change if you found one. Imagine the relief of financial breathing room, the confidence to make powerful decisions, the freedom to live life on your terms. This isn't fantasy. It's potential, and it's sitting in your spare change. But before we end, here's the final twist, the one you don't want to miss. The rise in high-value modern coins is accelerating. Every year, more collectors enter the market. Every year, prices rise. Every year, competition becomes fiercer. The best coins get discovered, graded, sold, and locked away in private collections where they may never reappear. That means the window of opportunity is closing. Slowly, but definitely closing. So the next time you empty your pockets, don't just toss those pennies aside. The next time you see a copper glimmer in a drawer, don't ignore it. That little coin might be the beginning of something big, bigger than you expect, bigger than you imagine, and maybe even bigger than your current life allows you to dream. That in the end, the real treasure isn't just the coin itself. It's the mindset it inspires. Stay curious, stay alert, and never underestimate the value of the small things. Because sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest potential.